We Are Little Zombies, directed by Makoto Nagahisa, is a colorful movie. There's so many bright, breathtaking scenes in this movie where color takes the main stage. It goes out of its way to paint its scenes with bold, popish colors from parts of the spectrum you don't normally see so abundantly in most movies. And as someone who is colorblind, who sees colors a little bit more muted than everyone else, I've always enjoyed super bright colors. This is why I wear these super conspicuous sweaters. But yeah, Little Zombies uses bright colors not only as a distinct aesthetic, but symbolically as well. Each of the main characters is represented by a color, with blue for Hikari, green for Satoshi, red for Yuki, and white for Ikuko. And even more so, the concept of color itself is used symbolically as well. Because We Are Little Zombies is a movie about human emotion, and consequentially, how human emotions play into Nagahisa's interpretation of the meaning of life. Outwardly, Little Zombies is a movie about 4 kids who have dead parents who form a kick-ass band. But the key characteristic about these kids is that they can't feel emotions, that even though their parents are dead, they feel nothing. I think this movie is trying to say something about how oftentimes, in the face of the absurdism of reality, in the face of trauma and tragedies, we can't help but feel nothing. That sometimes, when reality is too painful, the only way to process reality is to reject it. Similarly, the rejection of life and all its meaning can be seen in the rejection of its color, and this is symbolized in the gray sequences in this movie. The characters assert that the world is meaningless and gray, but in reality, most of the movie spends its time contradicting that statement. In fact, the richness of life can be seen in the pure artistry of this film. And I'm talking about the cool as heck editing in this movie. The editing in this movie is insane. It is so well done. What I love about this movie is that not a single scene of this movie is wasted. Every scene in this movie has something purposeful to say, be it some witty wordplay about philosophy, or in how almost every scene in this movie is shot in a unique perspective that you've probably never seen in another movie. Like, how can life be meaningless when these camera angles are so sick? Much of this could probably be attributed to Nagahisa's pre-existing work as a music video director, before directing this movie, which was, well, his first movie. And because this is Nagahisa's first movie, you can tell that he's putting everything he can into making this movie the best he can as possible. Every frame is a colorful painting, every scene is an innovative camera sequence, every single facet of this film is bursting with passion and has meaning and purpose, just like how every moment in life should have meaning and purpose as well. A recurring motif in this movie is Ikuko's use of a retro digital camera. I think this speaks to something about capturing the beauty of a moment, that maybe while remembering and the past may be painful, at least the moment and right now can be meaningful, and thus we should at least enjoy living right now. Speaking of motifs, this movie is chock full of symbolism. There's so much symbolism in this film. One that appears a lot is the recurring use of a goldfish. I think this is a nod to Nagahisa's earlier work, his short film, And So We Put Goldfish in the Pool. Goldfish in the Pool is a short film that Nagahisa directed in 2017 that explores many of the same concepts covered in this film. In fact, I'd highly recommend checking out Goldfish first if you're unsure about watching zombies. Goldfish is kind of like dipping your toes in Nagahisa's styles and ideas before watching zombies, and it's also officially free to watch on YouTube, and so I'll include a link to it in the description below. But yeah, Goldfish in both of these works probably represent the idea of being stuck. Of feeling stuck in a stagnant life where nothing happens and everything is meaningless. I feel like this sentiment strikes especially true within the context of Japanese culture because I've consumed a lot of Japanese culture, and I visited Japan twice, and something that always lingered in the back of my mind while visiting there was a foreboding sense of containment within Japanese society. Like, the efficiency in design in Japanese society is amazing, but sometimes it might come at the cost of feeling like, well, a goldfish. But at the same time, I can't help but feel that this containment, this pressure, is what helps yield some of the most evocative and illustrious forms of art to come out of any society. It comes out as like a counter-reaction, and it's why I think Japanese culture seems to have this two extremes of highly proper and conforming on one end, and then on the other end you have freaking anime. We Are Little Zombies spends a lot of time lingering on this feeling of listlessness, of boredom, of wondering what our purpose in life is. And I think this is especially relatable to a lot of us during these coronavirus quarantine times. I'm sure a lot of us feel like every day is becoming the same, that the many things we enjoyed doing months ago we can't do anymore. We're alive, but we aren't really living. We're zombies. At least, I really felt that a lot when I was watching this movie. And as a result of this movie, I was inspired. I was inspired to seize the beauty of our current moment, to seize the meaning of my emotions, and be unafraid of expressing them brilliantly and colorfully like this film does. And as a result, this movie played a big role in kickstarting me to start this YouTube channel. But yeah, I love this movie's powerful display of emotion, especially the first main song. The opening verse of this song, it just goes like, It sounds like an endlessly rolling ball of words just coming out over and over, tumbling over each other, because there's so much to say and so much to feel. And after the feelings of containment, of buildup during the whole first half of this movie, it's in this scene where the emotions are all coming out through the form of music, and it is so cathartic. I remember when I first watched this movie at like 2 a.m. by myself at night, I was like jumping up and down like I was at a concert, because this was a bop. It was so cool, these kids making sense of their emotions and learning how to express them to the fullest in this colorful, frenzied moment. And that glow-up LED Game Boy looks spectacular as heck. And speaking of that Game Boy, that brings me to the last most obvious point of this movie, the video game art style. So much of this movie dedicates itself to the video game aesthetic, with top-down perspectives, item capture menus, and a glorious chiptune soundtrack. I'm not exactly sure why Nagahisa chose to implement a video game style specifically into this movie. Maybe it has something to do with nostalgia or something about artificially living our lives through simulations or something. What I can say though is that I love video games, and as a result I just thought this movie looked cool as hell. On top of the colors and the slick video editing, the addition of video game styles made this movie blow me away as the most visually sumptuous and personally pleasing movie I've ever seen and maybe ever will see for the rest of my life. Until maybe Nagahisa makes his next movie, that is. But yeah, I love this movie because I love video games. I love bright colors, I love Japanese culture, I love explorations of the supposed meaninglessness of life and of the purpose of our emotions and of our responsibilities as humans to express them unto each other. In conclusion, I think We Are Little Zombies is the best video game adaptation movie to exist. Detective Pikachu can suck it.